Hello, my fellow readers. My name is Greg, and this is Ghost Readers in the Sky. Today I have another poem for my America 250 project, reading various poems about America from a lot of different voices, a lot of different time frames, a lot of different points of view. And the one I'm going to read today is by Charles Bukowski. I found it in this book here, Slouching Toward Nirvana. It's new poems. The collection was put together in 2005, so published posthumously. Bukowski's widow had a large archive of poems, some of them unfinished, many of them finished, but just never anything had been done with them. And she worked with the editor, John Martin, who was the very first person to publish Bukowski on a regular basis, gave him a column in his underground newsletter in Los Angeles. So this is Charles Bukowski. The poem I'm going to read is A 4th of July in the early 30s. A 4th of July in the early 30s by Charles Bukowski. There wasn't much to celebrate, of course. Our fathers weren't working, and the canned food from the Department of Relief all had the same terrible, stale taste. Nothing much was happening anywhere, and there was a joyless resignation in the air. But I remember this one morning at about 6 a.m. on the 4th of July, 1932, or 3, or 4, I don't remember which, when I heard loud explosions in the street outside. Giant firecrackers! I got out of bed, dressed quickly, ran outside, and there, coming up Longwood Avenue, right in the center of the street, was my buddy Gene, walking along and throwing giant firecrackers into the air. The morning fog was just beginning to lift, and the first sun was coming through, and there was Gene walking along and making the air explode. I ran up to him. "Goddamn, what you got?" "Cherry bombs, and plenty of them." He also had what was called a punk, a coated metal stick that glowed hot and red at the end. Gene touched the punk to a fuse, watched it burn down, then tossed the bomb high into the air where it exploded right at the height of its arc. A man came out on his front porch in his pajamas. "Hey, you kids! Cut that out! Shit, I want to sleep!" "Come out here and make it stop," said Gene. He was big for his age. "I'll tell your father." Gene laughed, lit a cracker, and tossed it toward the man. It landed right on the edge of his large plate glass window. Bang! Luckily, the window didn't break. The man ran back into his house. Gene handed me the punk and a bomb. "You try one." I lit the fuse and waited as long as I dared, then hurled the bomb It went off a dozen feet over my head. Not bad, Jean said. We walked up Longwood to 21st Street, took a left, then went up the little hill. Watch this, said Jean. There was a garbage can sitting out by a fence. Jean took the lid off, dropped a lit bomb in there, and put the lid back on. Bang! The explosion sent the lid flying about 3 feet into the air. God, they're powerful. Yeah, said Jean. We walked a little further up the hill. There was a car parked there, with the window slightly open on the driver's side. Watch this, said Jean. He lit a cracker and dropped it through the window. Bang! The car rocked. Then it filled with thick blue smoke. That was great, I said. Jean had 3 or 4 cherry bombs left. We turned, walked back down the hill. Jean lit the last ones one by one and arched them as far as possible into the air where they exploded. Then we were standing in front of his house. It was now about 6:30 a.m. Well, that's it, he said. It's over. Thanks, Jean. Sure, see you around. He walked into his house. I walked to mine, opened the front door, entered, walked down the hall. My father heard me from his bedroom. Where the hell you been? Out celebrating. Good for you, son. It's a great country we live in. I walked back to my bedroom, undressed, got back into bed. He's got it all wrong as usual, I thought. I was only celebrating myself.
Yippee!